Hi everybody, so today we'll be working on the coffee frame. As always, we'll be working on an 8x8 20x20 centimetre box frame. You will need to take out your glass, collapse it so you've got 3 pieces, and we're going to concentrate on this back first with our prints. The first 2 prints you will need to find is this one and your bottom piece with a cream square. As these have got the small wallpaper print, I have made these to fit, I'll just pull you up slightly, your square. So there shouldn't be any cut off at all. If anything, it'll be a slight little piece. It's the only way I can design it to get your print more or less in line. So the first thing we're going to glue down is this piece. We're going to align this to the bottom, go all the way along, and as you can see, it fits perfect to this square. So just make sure everything is in line before you glue anything down. As always, I will be using my Clare PVA glue. So I'm just going to attach this now. So your square, you need the thinner part to the bottom. You'll see, because obviously your wallpaper print will run upright, as you can see. So you want the smaller piece to the bottom. So I've just attached this with my glue. And next, taking your top print, you're going to align this to the top of your frame. Mine has got a slight ridge on it while I was measuring it out. It'll flatten out in a second. So you'll just need to line this to the top. And if everything has gone in line, your print now should line up with this bottom part here. So I'm just going to attach that with my PVA glue. So I'm just showing you this bit because we've got a little bit to overlap. Once you've placed your glue on there, and obviously you haven't gone too far down with your glue, just lift this up and then just pop your glue just underneath. And then you can spread that down over the top. So once both prints are in place, it will look something like this. So obviously everything will dry a lot flatter once all the glue's dried, as you know. So now what we're going to do is just pop this to the side. You will now need to decide of what colour you're painting the outside of your frame and the inner part, because this is the next piece that needs to go on. So for mine, I've decided to paint it this sort of creamy colour. This was the spray paint I used. It's about £2.99, I think. I can't really remember where I got it from, but it's called Colour It Gloss Finish, and it's in Cottage Cream. This is what it turned out like. I only give it 1 coat. As you can see, it's got like a little bit of a gloss effect. I was umming and ahhing between the cream or maybe painting it this sort of duck egg blue. Or obviously you can keep it bare wood, white, any colour really will probably match this. Gold will also look nice. I nearly painted it gold, but I decided on the cream because I've already got a gold one with the Wonka. So I'm just going to click all this together. This is what the colour looks like now it's in the frame. So now what we're going to do is we're going to build this part here. To build the counter, you will find 5 interlocking sticks. So I'm going to show you which pieces you need to interlock with each other now. Taking the first notch and another stick, you're going to take the first notch off this one and the first notch off this one, and you're going to push this together. So I've had to play about with these a few times, just to see, you know, whether we need glue or not. Sometimes the joins fit better, let me just squeeze that in there, than others. Like this one is quite loose. So what you will need to do is once you've clicked everything into place, if your frame is a little bit loose, just pop some PVA glue just in your little cutout. And then place it over the top. I would do this afterwards just in case you get your notches wrong and you end up with glue in one of the notches that you didn't need. So the first notch is going to go up there. And then with your other lollipop stick, you're going to again take the first notch and the last notch on here. You're going to place that to the back. Trying to do it through the camera. Like this. Taking your fourth lollipop stick, we're going to again use this notch here and this notch here. And you're going to find this piece here. So it's the middle piece. So we're going to attach our notch to this piece. And then again on this side. So this is going to the front like this. And then your last lollipop stick, again, we're going to take this end here and this end here. And we're going to find this piece, so it's the larger piece in the middle, and then also click that on there. So just push everything down. Like say you might find it stable. Now it's all together, mine is pretty stable. So this is going to be your bottom piece, and this is the top piece because we're going to cut off the notches in a second once we've measured it. Once you've snipped off the tops, it will go in line with your cream square. So now what you'll need to do is just run your tacky glue along each part of this shelf at the back. Line everything up and then push everything to the back. I thought I'd filmed snipping these. So obviously once you put it in, I'll just save the end piece. Your frame is going to be quite long. So what you will need to do is just make this square at the back, your border, and you'll see. So I've only gone up one notch and then cut it from the top. So yours will probably be exactly the same as mine. But you'll know once you put it on your frame, just mark it with your pen and then snip it off where this border ends. So I've just run my tacky glue all the way along here, and I'm just going to let that dry just a little bit before we start adding some pieces inside the frame. So whilst that's drying, you will find 2 strips of crisp packets. I've already cut one. I'll come off this one, so you will get this colour as well. And this strip. So what you will need to do first is just trim all these off, just following the guides. So I'm just going to do that now. I've just cut all mine. As you can see, we've got, you know, don't be just cutting this piece. You will need to cut them in lengths like these, just in case. I don't want you to trim them off in the wrong position. But you'll see from your little cardstock, just go upright. So I'm going to build one, and I'm going to show you this method. And then obviously you can go ahead and build all the others as well. So taking your little packet, just fold it in half. Now originally I was going to put glue inside this. I've had to play about with them. The glue I think is going to be too messy, especially when you're burning your fingers. So I'm going to use the sellotape method. Obviously normally miniatures you use your little tacky glue and attach all this. Obviously it's just going to take forever to wait for it all to dry. So we're going to use sellotape. So once you've folded this in half, just get yourself some sellotape. You're going to go straight over the top, because we're going to leave a gap to this left-hand side. You can, you know, if you're right-handed, left-handed, you know, either way, just leave a gap at the side, whatever you prefer. So I'm going to fold that over, squeeze this down. This is just going to seal these edges. Obviously we'll put sellotape again over the top just to make sure everything is covered. So you just need to trim this sellotape off. I've got loads of sellotape already on here. And then what we've done now is formed a little pocket. So just grab a cocktail stick. Sorry, I had to grab one. I'd lost it. Probably rolled onto the floor. So then what you're going to do is just open up this pocket just by using your cocktail stick. Just give it a bit of a squeeze. And then taking some stuffing. So this is just the webbing. You might have some left over from your poison frame. Pillow stuffing, anything like that will do. Just grab a piece and just roll it into a ball. And then using your cocktail stick, just push this inside your packet. Just so none of your filling just comes over the top, otherwise it'll stick to your sellotape. So you can go in with some more if you want to, depending obviously how sort of like fat, should we say, you want your crisp packets. So maybe roll another little ball. If you've got too much, you know, and it's all spilling out the top, just get your scissors and just trim it off. But you don't need to glue this inside. So once you've pushed all that in, just grip it with your fingers. Like I say, it's just made the packet stand out a little bit more. So again, you can just sort of like keep pinching it. If you want it fuller, that is completely up to you. You don't even have to use this method. You can just fold your crisp packets in half and then just cover them in sellotape if you don't want this sort of like puffy effect. So let me just add a little bit more. You'll know when you've gone too much because obviously it'll all overspill like this. So just trim that off. And then just keeping it pinched, just get yourself another bit of sellotape. As we always say, sellotape is so forgiving. We're just going to seal this end now. So it doesn't even matter, like I've just done, you know, overlapping it. And then you're going to push this to the back. Squeeze everything down. And then you're going to trim off the excess at the top and obviously any other little bits like this. So if your sellotape hasn't quite hit the back, just run your sellotape again just over the top. So I'm just going to trim that off, carry on using the same method, building the rest of my books, and then I'll be back. I don't know why I said books, I mean packets. You probably didn't even notice I said that. So this is all covered now in sellotape. Any joins, just rub over with your nail, it'll all blend in together. So I'm now going to carry on with my crisp packets, not my books, and then I'll be back. So I've just popped my crisp packets to the side, and we are now back onto the main frame. So hopefully by now this will be dry. We're going to add a few more bits and pieces to this, make our little shelving and put on our 3D frame. And then we're also going to do a counter along here. And then we can let everything dry, go ahead and make all your bits and pieces, and then we can put the perspex on last. So because we have used the interlocking and we haven't measured it with our normal sticks like we do, this shelf at the top is too thin once we get the front on. So I have designed something to go on the front of this, you'll see later on. But first what you'll need to do is grab 3 lollipop sticks. These are the smaller ones. Let me just grab those. You're going to do the same method 3 times. So you will need to just trim off your rounded edge. Then you're going to align this. It doesn't matter about, you know, getting it in the right position just yet. We're just getting the length. So you're going to push this inside. So not on the outside. You need to be everything inside. Otherwise your little perspex front won't fit. Hold that on the inside and then just mark at the end, again on the inner part, your length. So I'm just going to get a pen, just mark that and then trim that off. Once you have measured it, your stick should now sit inside the lip. So because we know this is square, because we've interlocked it, this stick is now your guide to do it twice again. So that'll fit in there, and then this one's going to sit at the bottom. So the easiest way to do that is just layer this over your stick, squeeze it and then just trim it off with your scissors. Flip the other end, do the same. And then again, you will just need to cut another one. Taking your first stick, you can use your glue gun if you're quite neat with your glue gun, or you can obviously use your tacky glue. If you are using tacky glue, it's going to take a little bit longer to dry, as you probably know by now. This first stick, you're going to place this inside the lip, run your chosen glue along here, and then you're going to align that to your stick like this. And then your second one, again, you're going to take this lip and you're going to align this again to the bottom of your stick. And then your last one, you're going to place in the bottom like this. If you end up putting your sticks this way up, you will have a huge lip inside, which means you're going to have to fill everything pretty high before you start seeing anything on your display. So just make sure that your stick is this way and not upright. So I'm just going to glue all those in now. Your little shelf should now look like this. So let's say just taking the bottom part, so your lips go to the bottom, as you can see, and then all your shelving should be flat. So next we're going to start adding some little cardstocks. Obviously where I place mine, you know, you might want to go elsewhere with yours, depending on obviously what you're putting in your little counter. So this is the first print. So I have measured this to fit to cover this shelf here. Because like I say, once you get your larger stick on, can you see how small that shelf is? You cannot get anything inside there really, not unless you want to make some tiny bits and pieces. If you do, then obviously you can skip this part, but this part is to cover that. So just take a large lollipop stick just as a guide, because that's going to be the width of our counter. So this is the larger one. And then with this print here, I'll just try and hold it without everything falling off. You're going to push this right up to the top of your lollipop stick, just so it sits in line at the top like this. So it should more or less fit in line with the bottom part of your shelf, even if you don't measure it and you completely forget to put that on. We have got an extra lip to go around this, so don't worry if you've got a tiny little gap at the top. Like I say, if you can, just push it up, just give yourself a guide really of where it needs to go. And then I'm just going to attach that down here with my tacky glue. So just to show you this part, I've just put my tacky glue just on that top part of my lollipop stick. Taking this cardstock print, just going to align that there, grab my lollipop stick for the top, and then you can just slide this up. So the next piece I want to do, I'll just wipe any excess glue off with my finger. So I'm going to take my other prints. So I do want some sandwiches in here. I want some crisp packets in here. So I've just used my tacky glue. Like I say, you can place these up and down. I decided just to have a lip on these. I think it'll just look better when the sandwiches are behind these signs. But you might want to go flat. I've started to glue in my crisp packets. I'm just going to show you this. So this is the only piece really I'm going to use with my glue gun. So just to make them stand upright, just run your glue gun along the bottom. You might want to get some tweezers, they are quite fiddly. And I'm just going to start layering them up to the back. So again, just take every crisp packet, run it along here. You might want to save some elsewhere, but I think I'm going to maybe just use this whole bottom shelf for my crisps and then move my cakes up here somewhere. So I'm just going to carry on. So I've now layered all my crisp packets to the bottom with my glue gun and just added my crisp sign in the middle. Again, with all these signs, just make sure that you are behind this lip. Obviously, because we've put this on the inner part, obviously your perspex is still going to sit over the top. So if you have got any sort of like charms and bits and pieces that you want to put in, you especially when you start making your sandwiches, just make sure that everything goes behind the lip, just like we did with the bakery frame, then sort of like over, because like I say, once we get this perspex front on, it's going to hit all your charms. So I'm not going to cover the sandwiches too in depth. However, I'm going to show you a couple of methods so you can go ahead and have a play about with your Fimo and your Bose clay. So I'm just going to flip you down and just show you a few methods that you can use. So this is the Bose foam clay, which is this one, just in white. And what I've done is I've coloured this and I've gone more acrylic paint because you do want the more snap effect with this. You know, normally when we say a clay snapping, it just makes it a lot more sturdier to make your bread. This was the colour that I mixed. And what I've done is I've let this dry for a good 24 hours. It's still flexible, it doesn't crack. This is the pattern that I got off just rolling it off this little tray. You might want to use a ball of foil while your clay is still wet and then obviously let it all dry. I'm just going to show you how I mix this because I'm going to need some more to show you on my lives tomorrow. So as always, just condition your clay, form a well inside, and then you just need, obviously this is portrait pink that I've just explained, just a base colour really of, you can go with ivory or, what was the other one? I can't remember the other colour. It'll come to me in a minute. So because we can go over with this, that is far too much to what we normally would mix. But for this method, it doesn't matter. So we're now going to mix far too much acrylic paint into our clay. Just give it a good mix. It will get all sort of like sloppy, as you can see. And you will be covered in this. You might want to use some gloves for this part. What happens as well when you mix far too much acrylic paint in your foam clay, it becomes less stringy and more snappy. It will also help it dry a lot quicker as well. So just make sure you have mixed it fully. I'm going to have to wash my hands after this part. So it'll still feel stringy as you're mixing it, as you can see. But it'll sort of like get, it feels like a rubber effect. It's the only way I can describe it. So once you've got your ball, you will just need to roll it out, make it quite thin, like this one, and then just let that set. And then once it's set, it will be like this. Like I say, you can go ahead just with a little ball of tin foil and just dab it along. Just give me this texture, like I say, from this tray. You can also use your Fimo, which goes in the oven. Loads of different colours. I know a lot of you have purchased this recently. So again, you would just need to roll that out, cut a little square, snip it into quarters, bake that so you've got a top and a bottom, and then you can carry on obviously baking everything. Rather than layering up your sandwich and baking it all together, you will need to glue it together. It just sort of like holds it a little bit better. So, you know, you can take loads of different colours. So if you haven't got the beige, you can do a tiny little bit of like an orangey brown. Mix that with some white and then maybe a little drop of yellow as well. And then mix that all together just to form your base colour, similar to this. Cut out your little triangles, bake those, and then obviously you can then go ahead, roll out some lettuce bits and pieces, and then bake those. And then once everything is baked, you will then use your tacky glue and then just layer up your sandwiches inside and then let everything dry. You can then obviously run along with your little brush with your eyeshadow or your chalks just to give the outer rim. But I'm just going to show you this method, and then obviously you can have a play about with all your other bits and pieces that you have. So for an easy tomato and an easy onion, you can buy coloured glue sticks, which you can just slice really thinly with your craft knife. You can also have a go at doing some tomato canes. Now there is plenty of tutorials here on YouTube, so if you just type in tomato cane in Fimo, they will come up. So basically it's like, do you know when we did the swirl effect and we layered it all up? It's a similar effect. So to get the white pieces in here and to make your cane, you will need to roll out some little mini sausages in white little mini sausages in your red, and then you'll start layering it all up to make a cane. Roll it all together, put an outer rim on it, bake it all, and then slice it. But like I say, there is plenty of tutorials on YouTube, so that I don't really have to cover that. I wish I could tag somebody, but I haven't searched it while I've been doing this video. But like I say, they'll all pop up. If not, and you don't want to go through all the trouble of layering it, because you're only going to see the outer part of the tomato, which you're going to see in a second, you can just roll out a Fimo cane like this, just bake it, and then just slice it. The last alternative is to use your little banana sprinkles. It's been suggested a few times, and Catherine reminded everybody. Shout out to the lovely Catherine. So these are banana slices. However, you can just use your acrylic paint, just run around the edge, just in red, and that will save you. You know, this is how you layer up a cane, which I'm sure when you search, you will see loads of different methods. It is quite a long process. And like I say, you're really only going to see the outer rim. So all these options are completely up to you. I will be using my coloured glue sticks for this. So just take a craft knife, and then all you're going to do is just slice, just thinly. I'll just separate these so you can see. Just to create some little circles, because like I say, you're only going to see the edge of these. And then again with our red glue stick, just slice these really thin, which is going to give you the tomato. You can obviously add some little dots in there with your acrylic paint and a cocktail stick. But I'm not going to do any of that method. But, you know, you can have a play about. So this is how thin they go. Let me just grab some more. So it does go quite clear, as you can see. So I'm just going to slice up a few of those. So I've made a few slices. I'm not quite sure how many I'm going to use. I've probably gone too much. So, because we're working on the Bose foam clay, I'm going to build everything. I'm just going to show you this sandwich like I said. However, you might want to do the same method with your Fimo and bake that in the oven. So first, let's make some lettuce. So taking our Bose foam clay, you're going to need a couple of shades of green. So I've gone, this was part of a pack. There's no colour on these, but it's just a standard green and a little bit of a darker green. This might look a little bit blue on the camera, but it is a darker green. So just taking a cocktail stick, dip into the lighter green. Just going to add that into the middle. Then we're just going to mix this together. So again, it doesn't matter if you overmix, you know, it just becomes a little bit more, stringy. And then once you've, you know, you don't have to go too mad mixing this. Once you've sort of like covered all your clay, again, just form a little well. With your cocktail stick, dip in with your darker green. If you haven't got a darker green and you've only got one standard green, just take your lighter one, just add a little bit of black paint to it, and it'll just make it slightly darker. So for this one, what we're going to do is just add this in, and we're not going to over mix it this time. So we're just going to fold it up. So we're just folding in the colour. Probably looks a completely different colour to you on camera. And then what you're going to do, because obviously there's quite a lot of acrylic paint in this, so again you'll get this snap effect. just take a piece of your clay and you're going to pull this out really thin. We do trim off all the edges afterwards. So we're just sort of like getting a really thin piece like this. So just keep stretching it out. Like I say, it doesn't matter about the shape. Don't panic about that. We don't use a lot. So let's just take some more. Tease it with your fingers. Just so you can get it really thin. Just pull that piece off. So you don't want this too thick. So I'm just going to start teasing all this out. Just lay it on a flat surface. Like I say, it won't be as sticky because we've added, you know, a little bit of more acrylic paint, should we say. So just start teasing all that out, just so you've got a few strings. Oops. So I've just stretched out all my green. I'm laughing because it looks really strange. As thin as I can get it. You might want to find it easier to put it on a flat surface and just pull it out like this. I would tease it first in your fingers. So I'm just going to let that dry for about 10 minutes. And then I'll be back. I've just left these for about 10 minutes. I've just popped them up. They're still a little bit wet. Basically what we're hoping for is leaving it long enough just for this paint to dry, which it is doing so far. So I'm just going to leave that a little bit longer, and we're going to make some ham and some cheese. Taking a ball of your foam clay, let's do cheese first. Again, just pop a little well inside, and then in here with your cocktail stick you will need to go in with some yellow and some orange. So you want more yellow to orange for your cheese. So once you've mixed it together, the yellow just counteracts the orange. I think that's the right word. Just stop your orange being really bright. So you can use the same method if you want really thin cheese. I'm going to do some slices, I think, on mine. Just grab a ball and just sort of tease it out, especially if you wanted the melted sandwich look. Just make it quite thin like this. Again, you can cut this afterwards once you've measured your little sandwich. So to make the cheese slices, I'm just going to use the palm of my hand. You might want to use a roller for this. Squish everything down, and then what I'm going to do is just use my scissors. Just pull this out a little bit more, just like we did on the hamburgers. And then just take your scissors and then just cut a square. So I'm going to keep all that cheese in an airtight bag, and then I can use that for another bake. So now I'm going to go up this one, just form some random little random little cheese squares. Let me just flatten that a little bit. So these don't have to be really neat. Like I say, once you get them in your sandwich, so I'm going to keep those like this. I'm going to pop this in an airtight bag, just in case I need any more later on. And then for the ham, what you will need to do is, again, just form a little well. And then you want a tiny, tiny bit of red. like this. I've just used a brush. You might want to use the cocktail stick. It's the first thing that comes to hand. And then mix this together. This is going to form a really light pink. If you've gone far too much, you know, and your red is really sort of vibrant, just mix it together. Again, form a little well, and then just pop in some white acrylic paint. So I'm not going to overmix this, because I do want these streaks inside like this. So once you've sort of, you know, got the right shape, the right colour, just fold it together, and then I'm just going to roll a ball, and then again flatten that out, and that just gives me the marble effect for my ham. So just like I did with the random cheese squares, I've just cut some random ham squares out of the clay. We now have all our fillings, and this piece that we rolled earlier, this has now become, you know, quite flexible. This is the one that I did previously, which is fully dried. However, we can still use this, so we're going to use this. So grab your scissors, trim off this end here, just giving you a flat edge, and you will get all the sort of marks inside, so you don't have to be smooth with this. And then taking your ruler, just place this on your clay. This is just going to give you a rough guide of how big your sandwiches need to be. And we're going to go up to 1/2 inch. So just make a mark with anything you've got to hand. Let me just grab my little tool. I just go along here. Just make another mark. It'll just be easier when you cut it. So I'm just going to snip up here. Doesn't have to be precise. You know, obviously if you go too big with your sandwiches, they're not going to go in your shelves. So again, don't worry about any of these edges. And now we're going to trim off this part here and this part here. You will then need to do exactly the same, roughly 1/2 inch with the rest of your clay, and again just cut a strip. So we still have quite a bit on here, but we're just going to work on these. Like I say, I'll just show you a couple and then I can carry on off camera. Next we're going to measure our little triangles. So just place this just roughly on your clay, just mark half an inch, and then 1/2 inch on this one, so we've got a top and a bottom. And then just snip that with your scissors. So once we've built this one, again, you can go just mark 1/2 inch all the way along, so you've got a top and a bottom. Next, taking these little squares, we're just going to cut these in half to form the triangles. So just go upright like this. And on this one as well. So I'm going to build 2, and then I will carry on. If it's lost its shape slightly, just squeeze it. These are homemade sandwiches, so you don't have to be really precise. So we've got a top and a bottom, and a top and a bottom. So if your sandwiches are quite thick, just try and keep the shape the best you can, and then just tap these down with your fingers. So that's the bottom part and top part. And then we also have a bottom. Let me just flip that around. And a top part. So now we're going to add our filling. Do not worry if your squares don't look perfect, because once we get the filling on and we add the top, we can then just trim off the excess. So now it's completely up to you what filling you want. Basically, we're just going to sort of like start stacking it together using a cocktail stick and some tacky glue. So I've just popped some on my cocktail stick. Just going to take the bottom part of my sandwich. Obviously, they're going to sit this way on. So make sure all your filling is this way or this way. You don't want all your filling going out the back because you won't see it once it's gone into your frame. So just using some tacky glue. Just going to pop that on my clay. You might want some tweezers for this. Taking some cheese. Again, this is going to overspill to the back. Don't worry about that just yet. Going to line that up in my sandwich. Flip it over. And then just trim off this excess here. So again, this can go in my bag from earlier. It's just easier doing your squares like this rather than trying to measure it all out. Then I'm going to align that and just squish that down. Next, I'm going to add some lettuce, I think. So I'm just going to grab some of this. Again, just trim a little bit off on the rough edge. Place my tacky glue on the top. These are so much fun to build. So let me just get some tacky glue. Tap that on the top. Like I say, if you're really, if it becomes really fiddly with you, just get some tweezers and start picking this up. So I'm going to take the rough edge of my lettuce. I want it more to the front because obviously once this is upright, you're not going to see the back piece. So I'm just going to place that on the top. And then just trim off any bits. You can obviously relayer these if you haven't got enough, which I might do in a second just to cover the front. So I want a little bit more at this front piece. So let me just grab some more and add some more tacky glue. So all we're doing really now is just layering up all our filling. So let me just grab some more, just to add a little bit more tacky glue on the top of here. So if you've done this method with your Fimo, you will just layer it up like this. So I'm just going to snip that off because you can't see my cheese. And because we've let this dry, let me just push that back a little bit. It's not going to stick to the clay. So I've got cheese, I've got lettuce, and then I'm probably going to add a couple of tomatoes. So again, I'm just going to put a little blob of my tacky glue at the back of my little tomatoes and bring these to the front. One here. Maybe one at the edge. So you can do this the same with your ham. You might just want all salad. And then maybe another one at the front. I'm just going to lightly squish everything down so everything sticks together. And then I'm just going to use my tacky glue on the top of my lid, should we call it. Just spread that down. So I've just placed it underneath. And then I'm just going to go over the top with my sandwich. Line everything up. And then squish everything flat. So this is where you can trim off your excess. It's raining again. So I've got a little bit more excess on here, can you see? So I'm just going to take my scissors and snip that corner off, keeping the triangle. Flip it round, squish it down. Obviously all this glue is going to dry clear. A little bit more on here. So I'll just pull that back. Take your time with this, get in the shape. And then we have made a little cheese sandwich. Obviously we're going to add some shading afterwards, but this is going to sit upright like this in our little frame. If once you've squished it together and you know you don't like if it's blended in any, should we say, you know, the clay where it's all blended into your bits and pieces, just get a craft knife and just define that line just by pulling it up. So I'm going to use the same method that we've just done for this one. And I'm going to fill it with some ham, some lettuce, maybe do just some tomatoes, add some onions, have a play about, and then we'll be back just to add the shading. Let me just adjust that slightly. So I've now made my little sandwiches. I've done a ham and cheese, a salad with some more exposure of the little lettuce. I've still got all this left over. So what I want to do, I'm going to show you the shading on these. I'm going to keep this to dry because we're going to make some more on live tomorrow. I don't know what day it is today, but you know, by the time this video goes out, it's probably a week late. I've still got some more ham. So what I will do is mix some more of my Portrait Pink in with my Bose clay. And then I want to make some buns. So you can just roll those in a ball and make those flat. Do a top and a bottom and then fill your sandwiches and then flatten it down. You might also want to do baguettes instead. So just roll it into a sausage. Just make a slice inside your sausage. Open everything up. And then pop all your filling together. So I'm just going to show you the shading on these. Then I'm going to glue these inside my frame, build the rest of the buns, and then I'll show you the finished result of what we have so far. So to shade your sandwiches, the best thing you can do is use your chalks. So just slice some chalks off, you know, just get like a powder consistency of some light brown and dark brown. Just keep dipping into your brush and then just powder that over the top. Obviously we can use paints, however they are far too small to be faffing with paint colours. So I'm going to go in with the lighter shade and the darker shade of my eyeshadow, just with a paintbrush. Tap off any excess. And then just taking my sandwich, I'm just going to start just brushing it along here. So you can go darker as well, because obviously we do get brown bread. And I'm just going to take that shade in just around my sandwich, just like this. You know, you don't have to go too mad with it. As you can see, the glue is still drying. So I'm going to just shade all these. I'm going to glue all these into my little frame, build some buns like I explained on the previous step with the rest of my filling, and then I'll be back with the sort of like finished result on this little, should we call it like a little coffee bar deli counter. I am now back I've added all my little triangles. I've made them in a stack. You might want to do these upright. I think it looked nice in a stack like this. And then over here, I've done 2 larger buns, 3 smaller ones, and just stacked those all together. So to make the inner part of my bun shiny, I'm just going to go in with some UV resin. Just pop some of this in a little tub. Taking a little paintbrush, I'm just going to run over the edge. Obviously I don't want the bun shiny, so I'm just going to go in the inside. I'm going to go all the way along everything and then set that with my UV torch. Everything is now set, and as you can see, it's just give a shine just on the inner part of our sandwiches. And next what we're going to do is add the front, and then we're going to carry on with this next part here. So for the front, what you will need to do is just grab some double-sided sticky tape, or you can use a little roller like I have. I think these are like $1.99 in the range, something like that. I use these a lot with my scrapbooking. And then you will just need to run this down each edge, which I've already done. So all this is now sticky. Now your laminated sheet will be a lot bigger than this front piece, just to make it easier for you. So once you've run your double-sided tape along here, I wouldn't advise using any glue because obviously you don't want any overspill when you pop this on.